This is the installation class for Cloud Plugin on Agility Platform. Today we'll learn what a 9.2.7 stock Agility Platform looks like. Then we'll install the Cloud Plugin for Agility Platform. We'll see what changes it makes to the Agility Platform, and you'll see what checks and pieces that you need to look at to make sure it's installed correctly. We'll also take a look at the Guacamole server. We'll set that up to make sure that you've got a good way to SSH in to your boxes and actually drop files to them as well. So we'll start with a stock 927 server. So this is Agility Platform, and as you can see, this is pretty standard. We've got a full license here that opens up all of the perspectives to you: policy, designer, operations, and so on. Many of the installations that we run across just have the store available to you. As admins, this is what you'll see. And as we noticed, as we're looking at the first screens for Agility Platform, really nothing's been added. This is just stock. The only projects available to us are Agility Factory and Agility Platform. Under the root container, under security only, we have the standard project roles such as owner, user, and viewer. So really nothing has been changed to this particular Agility Platform. As you can see, again, under designer, the only projects available to you are Agility Factory and Agility Platform. And then under the admin perspective, if we open up the cloud provider, we can see that there's been one cloud provider built. It's an AWS cloud provider. We're actually going to host that in Northern California. And that's actually set up, and it's ready to actually run virtual machines. Under global rights, you can see we really haven't linked many project roles to user groups and custom rights, so really nothing's been set up. And again, same thing with user groups, and same things with users as well. So this is nothing that's actually happened. So this is what a stock Agility Platform looks like. The one thing that I have done for today for this demo is I've actually installed one Red Hat machine running in a cloud. That will serve as the Guacamole server. It's running at 5.4.177.103.124, as you can see. So that's the stock. And that way we know we haven't done anything yet. So, how are we going to install it? Well, let's open up an SSH connection to the Agility Platform itself, this cptest01 box. And I've got the SMAdmin account and password, so we'll do all of our work as that. And the files that I need are going to be under var temp. And as you can see, I've got both cloud plugin packages, the one for AWS and the one for BizCloud. Right now, those are the only clouds that CSC supports. We're hoping to bring on SoftLayer and Azure shortly. And obviously, the first thing that we do, we're going to make these kind of major modifications. We're checking to see that the Agility Platform is up and running. So we issue Agility Platform status, and obviously it's okay. And then we issue Agility Platform stop. And this should stop pretty quickly because there's not much load on the box. But because we're good system administrators, we're going to issue a ps-ef and then look for carafe processes to make sure that we are in fact shut down. And though it's not easy to see at the bottom of this particular screen because of clipping, there aren't any carafe processes as are running right now. The command that we'll use to actually install the cloud plugin is on the screen right now. We'll sudo, so we'll make sure we can do this as root. It's an RPM, and then we actually install the cloud plugin BizCloud Edition 1.2.2. Now, obviously, the versions will be slightly different for AWS versus BizCloud, depending on which BizCloud that you've got. The main difference right now is the AWS BizCloud is the only one that has the patching service as well. Now, after that RPM installs, the first thing it asks you to do is, again, run this script that's actually installed in opt Agility Platform bin, and it's install.autodeploy. Now, what that's going to do is it's actually going to ask you to create an account in Agility called AutoDeploy, and you'll give it the standard password, and that AutoDeploy account will actually run the importation of scripts, packages, projects, and so on. I'm going to leave this all on default right now. You could run this as admin, you could run this as your own account. So the AutoDeploy account is AutoDeploy. The password is going to be the standard mesh admin account, and we're going to use the standard MySQL password that we've used for Agility Platform, which is X0Cloud. This script runs. We're creating all of our pieces, and it looks like it's done. And it is, as far as you can see. Now, when you log back into Agility Platform, you'll see some interesting things. And we check our status again. We see that Agility Platform is in fact stopped, and we'll issue a start command as well. So we'll do etc init.d Agility Platform start, and that'll start it up. At this point, we've actually installed the Cloud plugin. So it should be installed on the box. We didn't see any errors. Obviously, you can check messages on the box if you choose to, but let's go ahead and assume it's working. Let's go ahead and log into the box and see what's changed. So we're into the front screen of Launchpad, and the first thing that you should notice is we now have a performance monitor on the front page. This is driven by the NIMSoft monitoring piece, so that's why in red you're seeing performance metrics are not available. But it does immediately pick up the two virtual machines that it knows about, Agility Platform itself, running on the Agility appliance, and the Guacamole server that we set up a little bit earlier. If we duck into the administration perspective, we'll start seeing some more interesting things. Checking on global rights, you can see that project roles have been created and then mated with a collection of users and custom rights. So these BizCloud business admins, platform admins, project approvers, and so on are created automatically. And as you can see, this is the first time we've logged in after we created that, or actually installed that RPM, and you can see that there's a bunch of tasks going on. The auto deploy user is in fact finishing the installation of this. So you can see, we're creating the SOE stacks that should be mated to either the BizCloud or AWS images. We're creating Project Freebird, Hawkbird, and so on, all done by this auto deploy user. That's another way to tell that this has worked, is you'll see that if you log in fast enough. Now, obviously, if you wait a while if you wait a while to log in after turning on the Agility Platform service itself, you obviously won't see this. We also see a large number of user groups created, all business admins and so on. This is good practices. Then we've got a whole collection of users for each project, Hawkwood and Freebird, that's set up as well. And obviously you will use these as you wish. You can customize them accordingly, but it's a good jumping off point. Again, in the designer perspective, remember we had just the two projects, Agility Platform and Agility Factory. Now we've created the CSC Agility Store, Project Freebird, Project Hawkwood, and the Store Items Factory. We can actually create store items there and then gradually move them from dev to test to production and then out into the store itself. Each one of those projects has multiple environments inside it, as you can see. And then in the policy side, we've created a subcontainer under root called customer, and then two underneath that to contain more projects themselves, BU1 and information technology. And of course, this is customizable, but this is a great jumping off point to actually show you how this stuff works. And also we've created a large number of policies and applied them to the customer container. And then if we get in the container itself and look at security, we can see we've got all these project roles with users and groups and access rights all lit up. So that's a good test. Going to the admin perspective, looking for project roles and new user groups, then going to designer and looking for those extra projects, and then going to the policy perspective and looking for the new customer container and so on. The other thing you can do is, if you can't see all that, is you can actually get into the store and look for the new pieces. So let's jump to installing the Guacamole server. And we'll SSH into the box that we created for the Guacamole server. And again, we'll log in as an SM admin because we're using a Red Hat box. And again, I've placed the temporary files in var temp. There's three things we need to do. We need to add some prerequisites first, then we need to create that font, and then we need to install the Guacamole server itself. And we install by yum installing a large number of packages, which should show up on the screen in a few minutes. I'll black that out and let you see the list. And as these install, you can see a list: FreeRDP, Cairo, several sets of libraries, OpenSSL, and so on. All this is available is obviously in the documentation itself, but it's nice to have in the training videos. And these continue to run. This is a Red Hat 6.3 box, so it's got some of the latest and greatest stuff, and this actually all runs nicely. And that should be completed. So we've got our prerequisites done. Now we need to actually install a font package. Guacamole looks for Monaco font, and so we want to make sure that we've actually installed that into the font share for this box. And so we want to copy that TrueType font into User Share Fonts. And then the secondary command we need to issue will be fc-cache to actually update the list of fonts that Red Hat knows about, so that Guacamole will be able to then use those fonts. And there's the command there. Now that we're done with the prerequisites, now we can actually use the RPM command to actually install the Guacamole server itself. And the first thing I'll do is I'll make sure it's not already installed. I'll go to etc-init.d and I'll look for a guacd service start, and it's not there, so I'm not going to overwrite anything. I'm going to use the RPM command to install the guac server. And as you can see, tab completion is your friend. And we're done. So let's check the contents of etc-init.d, and there's that guacd-sm service start. And we check to see if it's running right now. And it's not. So let's kick it off. Now when it fires off, it should be listening on port 4822, and we'll go ahead and check that by actually issuing a netstat-an, then grepping for 4822, and there it is. So we have a successful Guacamole install. Now at this point, the Guacamole server is done, and we can jump out of this. All we need to do is grab the IP address of the server itself, and then we need to go back to the command prompt of the Agility Platform server, and we need to make some changes to the configuration file. Configuration files that were added by by the Cloud plugin sit in /opt/agility platform/etc. So we'll go there first. You can see a large number of files that begin with com service mesh agility, and we're going to look for the one that ends with UI extension CFG. Right there. Now the only real change we need to make at this point is to replace the Guacamole server with localhost, or that is currently pointing to localhost with the IP address of the actual Guacamole server, which is, as you can see, 103.124. So we'll actually open up that file, and as you can see, about 3/4 of the way down, it's guacd host is set to localhost, and we'll change that now to 103.124, which is my guac server, and I'm done. Now the way to test this is to telnet to the 4822 port on the guac server and see if you get a response back. That'll let you know if there's any firewalls in the way or if there's anything blocking this out. So we'll do this now. We'll telnet space 4822 and we'll see if we get a response back. And unfortunately this is clipped at the bottom of my screen, but you can see it's connected to that, and I'm getting an escape character back. So I've actually got a TCP channel up and running. I'll throw some data at it, but it'll kick back. But rather than saying closed by opposite member host, it's actually listening. And so we're good there. So we've installed everything, we've checked everything, we've got the Guacamole server up and running, and we should be good. So that's it. We are now installed. Thanks for listening.